42 people were killed in just 5 days in Balochistan this July. The deaths were confirmed by Pakistan's own military and independently reported by AP and Al Jazeera. But the number itself isn't the story. The real story is why, after nearly 8 decades, this conflict still refuses to end. Since 1948, Pakistan has fought 5 major insurgencies in Balochistan. Different governments, different commanders, different militant groups. Yet the outcome has remained remarkably familiar. Violence erupts. More troops are deployed. Officials blame outside forces. The fighting subsides for a while, until it begins again. So this isn't a story about one attack. It's a story about why another attack was always likely. To understand that, you have to start with a system that predates Pakistan itself, the Sardari system. Strengthened under British rule and never fundamentally dismantled after independence, it remains one of the defining features of Balochistan's political landscape. Across multiple regional analyses, one uncomfortable conclusion keeps emerging. For many powerful tribal elites, an unresolved grievance can be more valuable than a resolved one. When unrest grows, Islamabad often responds with development funds and political concessions. But much of that support passes through the very power structures the grievances are directed against. Instead of weakening patronage, it often reinforces it. Instead of transforming governance, it preserves the status quo. After decades of spending, the conflict persists. That doesn't necessarily mean development failed. It suggests the underlying political incentives never changed. But politics alone doesn't explain an insurgency. The economics are just as revealing. According to Pakistan's own Institute of Development Economics, Balochistan's poverty rate stands at 70.5%, compared with 39.5% nationwide. Youth unemployment exceeds 37%. Yet this is also Pakistan's richest province in natural gas and mineral resources. That contradiction matters. For decades, Sui gas powered homes and industries across Punjab, beginning in 1964. But Dera Bugti, the district where the gas was extracted, didn't receive gas itself until the 1990s. Whether symbolic or practical, that timeline became a powerful reminder of a larger complaint. Resources were leaving. Prosperity wasn't. For many young people growing up in that environment, armed groups don't have to invent a narrative of injustice. They inherit one. The next driver of the conflict is even more personal. According to Pakistan's Commission of Inquiry on Enforced Disappearances, more than 10,000 cases have been recorded nationwide, with nearly 3,000 originating from Balochistan. For thousands of families, this isn't a political debate, it's a lived reality. Mahrang Baloch became one of the province's most recognizable rights activists after her own father disappeared and later returned bearing signs of torture. In June 2026, she was sentenced to life imprisonment in a case that rights monitors describe as politically driven. Whether you agree with her politics isn't the point. The larger question is, what happens when people lose faith that peaceful activism can produce change? Analysts warn that when peaceful avenues appear to close, anger doesn't disappear. It simply finds another direction. And armed groups have spent years turning that anger into recruitment. If the conflict had ended there, it might have remained Pakistan's internal problem. But Gwadar changed everything. China invested more than $60 billion into the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, placing one of its largest overseas investments in the middle of a conflict that had never truly been resolved. China didn't create Balochistan's grievances, but it built its biggest regional investment on top of them. Reuters and the Jamestown Foundation have documented years of attacks targeting Chinese nationals, Chinese-linked infrastructure, and Gwadar itself. This year even saw the emergence of a militant naval wing operating near the coast. For Beijing, an economic project has increasingly become a security challenge. So who actually supports the insurgency? The answer is far more complicated than either side's narrative suggests. The Balochistan Liberation Army claimed responsibility for more than 500 attacks during 2025. Independent monitors verified only around a quarter of those claims. That distinction matters. Frustration over poverty, inequality, and disappearances is not the same as support for armed separatism. Researchers also find no clear overlap between separatist sentiment and traditional tribal structures. But something important has changed. The movement is no longer driven primarily by tribal fighters. Increasingly, recruitment is coming from educated, non-tribal young people. That shift suggests the conflict is evolving beyond feudal politics. Shared grievances are becoming a stronger driver than tribal loyalties. When you step back, neither side's preferred explanation fully survives its own evidence. This isn't simply a foreign-sponsored terrorist campaign, nor is it purely a spontaneous grassroots uprising. It's the result of four forces reinforcing one another: a feudal system with incentives to leave grievances unresolved, an economy where resource extraction has long outpaced local reinvestment, a pattern of disappearances that deepens resentment across generations, and foreign investment placed directly on top of all three. Military operations may suppress violence, they may even win individual battles, but they cannot eliminate the conditions that continue to produce new recruits. Pakistan doesn't have to lose a battle in Balochistan to lose the larger struggle. It only has to keep treating a governance crisis as though it were only a security problem. And that is the harsh truth.